Woman Who Chat is sponsored by Grow Radio. Grow Radio is an online radio station dedicated to bringing you a different podcast on the hour, every hour. I'm proud that Woman Who Chat is played on Grow Radio every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and Friday at 8 a.m. and to be a part of their podcasting community. If you want to listen to the station, explore their shows, check out many of the blogs to improve your podcasting skills, or get your podcast onto Grow Radio, head over to growradio.uk today. Welcome to Woman Who Chat, and today I'm chatting with Kate Whitley from the ADHD Business Lab. Hello, Kate.
Hello, Sandra. So lovely to be here again.
And we have chatted before, and I'm not going to ask you to repeat your backstory. We're going to put in the show notes a link back to episode 91, which was aired on New Year's Day 2024.
I know. How about that for visibility, eh? Just going into the new year as you mean to go forward. Honestly, it's brilliant.
And it's great to have you back, Kate. And we're going to chat today all about business efficiency and a few other things too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Now, one of the things I say that, you know, when you're working in business, you can, especially when you're a sole trader or a solopreneur, you have to become initially the master of everything.
Yeah.
Being organised is key. But in your case, with ADHD, that must be even more important. So tell us a little bit about how, when you started out, how you sort of had probably overwhelm initially, I would imagine, and then how you managed to organise that so that you could be more efficient on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so first of all, when I see all these things to do, my brain fires off with wonderful amounts of dopamine and motivation, and I'm all gung-ho about wanting to do all the things because I know I'm perfectly capable of doing them all, right? And so I start off doing them, and then they need to be done correctly. So having spent many years of thinking I haven't done things correctly or being misunderstood or not getting things quite right in accordance with others' expectations, it brings in sort of by default perfectionism. And it's perfectionism which is slightly different from what we normally talk about, because it's not, it's perfectionism for me is I've got to get it right, because if I don't get it exactly how I can need to, it will sit and eat away at me and I just can't think or do anything else, which impacts the efficiency to do the next task. So I could actually end up in a rabbit hole, and we have what you call hyperfocus. So I could spend hours and days doing something amazing. Now, in the first days of starting the business, that's a problem because it takes so long to get everything done, the overwhelm kicks in. Bang. Overwhelm for me means that you can either have it to it, my brain stops. You just get this fog. Now, some people will have different ways, different type, anxiety, am I doing this right? We all feel that, exactly. And so some people with ADHD brains will go, oh my gosh, I can't do this. They'll go down the self-deprecation, right? And as you know, our self-worth is crucial for how we are visible and for how we run our businesses effectively. Because if we're coming from a place of service or delivery of value, and we don't really trust what we're doing because we think it could be wrong, that's going to come out to the people that we're working with, isn't it? So my brain doesn't want to go down that route. Now, that's only because I'm older, probably. And I've had years of dealing with it, and I have been, doing all sorts of things. So what my brain does is like, I'm not going there. And so it just completely stops. And I can't think of anything. In fact, my words get waddled. Have you had that with words waddling?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, it's more, I find that unless I've got one place where I've got a list, and I'm not ADHD, although I think I'm verging on it, I am a perfectionist, and it will actually stop me putting things out there because I want them to be perfect. I want them to be just right. I want them to be shiny and whatever. But I've learned over time that done is good enough. You can always go back and tweak things. So now I'm more of a get it done get it out there, and then go back and do the perfectionist bit afterwards and make it nice and shiny. And that's the only way I can get things done. But I have a list. I have to have my master handwritten list, and I have to see physical ticks on that list to be
Yes.
able to move to the next task. And if I can't tick something off, it holds me back. And you see things move from list, because I update my list every week, and then I look back and I think that's been on my list for 4 months. Why haven't I done it? And it's the whole procrastination. It's not perfect. I haven't got all the bits I need. It's not shiny yet. And it's like a full circle.
Yeah, that's so typical.
Yeah. And I think some people may even give up at that point. As you say, with an ADHD brain, you actually stop.
Yes.
Whereas my brain, I tend to work and think, it's not good enough. I can't put it out there, or I can't do it. It's too difficult. I won't do that now. You find all the excuses not to do something.
You do.
So let's move forward then. So we've found the bits that stop us, and the overwhelm and the, oh my God, what am I going to do next? Let's look at how we can make our lives more efficient in business, and some of the tools, techniques, some of the tips, things that maybe you use from an ADHD perspective, and maybe that I use from a non-verging, maybe not quite ADHD, but never found out or not. But, you know, whether you're working on your own or you're working with other people, you have to find your way, and you have to find those efficiency tools that work for you. So what works for you, Kate?
Very simply. I keep it all very simply, because like so many of us, ADHD or not, we try all the new latest things that, oh, this could work, this could help make my productivity better, my efficiency better. What we forget is that somebody has to operate it and do something with it. And if we forget, or we haven't got time, it just becomes another thing we have to do, and it adds to the overwhelm. I use Google Drive. I have everything in there. It's all in the cloud. Everything is on the cloud. For one reason, well, the most important reason this benefits me is because I can access that on my phone. I can access it on any computer, anywhere. I could even be in somebody else's house far across the world, and I don't even have my own, just go in on theirs, and I can access my Google Drive for documents, as can anybody I want to work with. Like if I'm outsourcing, everything's all in one place, and they don't get access to everything. I can just give them access to just the bits I need, which doesn't always happen in a lot of other programs as well. You can create all sorts of things in there. It's docs, Google Sheets, absolutely everything in there. So there's the one thing. The other thing I have is, sorry, Google, you haven't yet given me a sponsorship for this, for me promoting you, but it's Google Calendar. Now, everybody has different calendars on their phones. That's true. And so people also have different calendars as well on their desktops. The reason I also like Google Calendar is because, let's just face it, it syncs and integrates with everything. You know, that is the great thing. People quite often don't like using the big corporates and the big web products and software, because they think, oh, they know all our stuff. Actually, they have more money and financing to put in the security issues than some of the smaller things that you might be testing out. And my Google Calendar syncs to everything, absolutely everything. So here's an example of what I would call is a total efficiency in a workflow. Okay, if I was to invite you on your podcast here, would you like to come on my podcast? Oh yes, please, Kate. Right? I think fab. So what I'll do is, because we know each other, I'll pop a link into your messenger, and then that's it. I won't see you again until we meet. And this is what happens in the meantime. That link will take you to a little web page that I've got, right? And at the top, I've got a little video of me talking about, hey, this is what we're going to be talking about. And underneath is a calendar that you can click the date to suit to pick your time, okay? When that happens, it automatically then gets added to my Google Calendar. The Zoom link, because that's the other thing, we use Zoom. The Zoom link is set up automatically. You get an email telling you what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about. If I use StreamYard as well, it does the same thing. And then it gives you some reminders as well along the way. And also you get another email automated out saying, hey, could you please send this? Could you please send a little bio? Could you please send this? all of that done and dusted behind the scenes, and we rock up. You've had a nice customer experience with me thinking, oh, I'm here, and we can then, get cracking. So that's just an example of what I see as having everything done for you. That, whether it's outsourced or automated, Sandra, that is the key. It's not doing the things that over and over again has taken up all your time.
And I think that's the thing, Kate. It's, and that workflow that you just discussed, the only thing you've had to do is put the calendar availability out there. And the only thing the person coming on the podcast has had to do is click the date they want. Everything else is automated. I use something, I'm a Microsoft person, even though I'm a Mac. And, mine is exactly the same, whether somebody goes onto my Calendly and it all generates the Zoom link, automatically sends it, automatically goes in my diary, automatically goes in there when they accept it. Alternatively, on my website through WordPress, I've got the same facility. If somebody goes on and books something, it generates the Zoom link. If it's a virtual meeting, it sends the confirmation, it does all that. And I can set it to send whatever I want. It's automated. And there's loads of different funnel products out there now that can do exactly the same thing. And I think so many business owners now are using automated systems, but there are so many new people coming that don't. And I think there's a block there sometimes that I don't know how, or I don't know where to start, or I don't know. And again, we're getting that overwhelm. And I think my advice is to somebody is just do one thing at a time and to map out that flow. What do you need? What do you want it to do? And then speak to somebody that's going to say, I can help you.
Yes. As you know, I'm an advocate for, I have my own all-in-one platform. WordPress is great. Everybody has different ways of doing things. And that's also great. Whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, my suggestion is do it your way. And if you don't know how to do it, find somebody else who can help you do it your way. Because especially with ADHD brains or not, anybody in business starting out, if you're a health coach, if you're a wealth coach, if you're a fitness instructor, why would you automatically know about how to build websites and set up automations? You wouldn't expect to go into a paid job and suddenly say, right, you've got to do this, but first of all, you've got to set up your own IT systems. I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? So, and I know finances can be an issue. I know that. I also want to add this in, though. If you're starting out a business, regardless of what it is, there are many ways of offering, you can do things for free, okay? And this is useful to have, people will give you lots of advice. I always say, before you even start that, find yourself a nice group of people that you get on with, a community. So you can say, hey, did this work for you? And you'll notice, so for example, when you're in the Facebook group where people can come in, and I've noticed others similar, people say, oh, I'm thinking of trying this. People will give their own reviews and say, well, I tried it, I didn't like it because of this. And they will give tips. First of all, that makes you feel that you've got help and networking, even if you maybe don't have finances to pay for things. At least that means you're not going to suddenly go down a rabbit hole of sitting there wasting time finding out which would work or not, because it's not always clear. And so, at least then you're doing what you can. But I do want to also add this for this. Some people might think, well, it's all very well for you to say this. It's all about money and this sort of thing. And we're trying to earn some extra money because of the scarcity of the times that we're in. Yes. But when you want to start a business, bear in mind this, and this is what gets forgotten about in the online world. It takes, according to all the statistics, approximately 3 years to have a really good, regular, recurring income. If you haven't made a profit in your first year, you are not a failure, okay? One of the reasons you may not is because also we come where we're bringing some money in and we need it to pay bills and stuff, and we don't allocate some of that money to paying for somebody to do some jobs which would save us time. So if you're paying a VA to do something which 3 or 4 hours a month, which could come to, between £50 and £100, whatever, but your hourly rate is more than that, and you're doing the task, you're actually losing money. Does that make sense?
It does. And I use the cleaner analogy. It takes me 10 hours to clean my house, top to bottom, at the weekend, for
Yeah.
example. If I pay a cleaner, they come and do it in 2 hours.
Yes.
And what I pay them is a fraction of one of my hours.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
in a way, it's more efficient, because I've got a VA, and what I pay her to do at the end of each month, I look and say, right, okay, she's done X number of hours this month. It would have taken me a whole week to do what she does in a few days.
Yes.
And I think you have to look at the efficiency. What are you good at? It's this whole priorities thing, isn't it? I look at all the tasks I do in a day. What do I do? What am I good at? Where is my expertise? What do I hate doing?
Yeah.
Farm that out. What I'm not good at doing, I farm
Yeah.
out. What I hate doing, I farm out. And I
Yeah.
think the best investment ever at the start of a business for efficiency is a VA, because they get you organized.
Yes, just that they know what's up to date and what's in, what's happening. And the idea is really you don't want to keep changing things. And I know in the first year, first couple of years you might change systems, but after that you don't want to. So you want to have the foundation so that if you develop courses, people can always log in. You're not going to have to sort of say, oh, we're moving to a new platform a couple of years later down the line. Little things like that make a big difference to the customer experience. And by putting something aside so that you can invest in something which is going to bring you a return on investment. So even for things you do like, so here's the thing with what you've just said on the ADHD brain is there's loads of things I love doing that take me really a long time, okay, because I love doing them and I do them really well. And that is actually what generates people coming into my world. So here's the thing. Should I be doing those tasks? Well, sometimes yes and sometimes no, because if I take away all the things I don't like, I want to do, because actually, if I spend all my time doing the things I want to do, the things I don't like doing are usually the things that if I farm those out, I still got to go back over them again to check. So I'm ending up with more work. So for me, I have to say, right, if I have to project base it. So yes, I write the lists. Now, my lists for ADHD will end up long, and what I do is each day I write a date of the list and I go back over it and I go, what I put on that list yesterday was a bit unrealistic, it's a bit silly. So I want to do it, I'm going to put it on the hold list. So what I do is I put it at the bottom of the page. And then I put the urgent things that I want to address today, which is always too much. I could never do it all. The point is, it's out of my brain, it's on the paper. So that's what you're saying, isn't it, about your lists?
Yeah.
And then I have to say, right, I'll try and project base it. I put that with what I've got to deadlines. I link it up with deadlines for the week. Who needs this? Which client needs that? What if I've got to have a sales or a landing page done for myself? What date do I need those? So I can prioritize by urgency. Now, have you heard of the Eisenhower matrix, Sandra?
I think I have, yes. Just remind me.
Yes. Yeah, so it's just a grid of 4, and what they do is they say put things in order of urgent, but not important, not urgent. People can go and look that up. Now, that's brilliant, I love it, but where that falls down for my brain is that what I see as urgent, what my brain sees as urgent, are the things that I need to get a dopamine hit because I have less dopamine. So that skews my perception. And a lot of people don't realize that. So what I say is, for efficiency in that way, it's like base it on deadlines, but also base it on what's going to generate your income. Because let's face it, are we in business to make money or to just make friends? And so if you think being visible comes under an income related activity for me, because if people don't know me and see me and do what, know what I'm doing, people aren't going to come into my world. They're not to go down the next bits of the funnel, so to speak, or the next bit of the customer journey. That has to be a priority. Getting out a new lead magnet may be important, but it's not as urgent as being out there in the first place, building relationships. So that's one of the things I've learned for productivity and efficiency is be honest with myself, be really honest with myself. Am I doing this because I'm feeling overwhelmed and I actually just want to go and do something fun and record it? So what I do is I say, right, I'm going to finish, I'm going to stop at this time. And after that, I'm going to do this task. It's going to take me longer. But it doesn't matter because I'm going to sit and I'm going to enjoy doing it, and it's done, and I'll do it on my own. I'll do it on my own time. So by saying this is my business time and this is my own time, even though it's all my time, I'm tricking my brain to say, oh, okay, right, business is over. We can have fun. And I actually produce better content as well. So, and that makes me feel better because I want to be able to produce the perfectionism bit for what I deliver. I still tick that box.
Yeah. Just before we finish, Kate, I want to touch on software, because software is, as you explained, your workflow. That was all done via software. I use a lot of software. And I think it's important to trial different software, get free trials, try things out, see if they work for you, because what might work for one person might not work for another. You know, you can have a free Zoom account up to so long. You can have a free calendar account for so long. You can have a free Google account. You know, all these things, you don't have to spend a lot of money on them to try. But when it comes to the more high-end products, you know, they all offer free trials, and I would shop around. Would you agree with that?
100%, and 100% have a free trial. I have a free trial for people. It makes perfect sense. But here's something to bear in mind. If you have a free trial, whether it's for 14 days or 30 days, whatever they offer, and it's a new piece of software that you don't understand, when you go inside it and you have a look around, just be honest here, you're probably not going to understand it. So therefore you can think, I don't know how to do this, and you'll dump it. And it could be the best bit of software, because there isn't a piece of software. If you don't know tech stuff and you're exploring it for the first time, all of it is going to confuse you. And so don't think you're going to just suddenly find that the thing that is easy, oh, I can do this, and it can run your whole business. It won't. There will be elements you can learn which have to be connected together, but then you've got to learn to make sure they're all connected. Whereas, so otherwise you're going to end up saying, oh, this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and feel more overwhelmed. If you're trying a new piece of software and you think, actually, I've been told this is good, it's promising this, it's not clear to me, ask someone. If somebody recommended it to you, ask them to say, hey, look, can I be a pain? Can you just show me around just to make sure I've got the grip? And then be realistic. If you need someone to help you set it up, that is going to be a business cost. There are costs in business that we have to face. And if it's going to say you can have it set up in a week rather than you doing it over 3 months, I don't know. I know what I prefer.
You've got to speculate to accumulate. And if you want to generate revenue more quickly, then it's more cost effective to pay somebody to set that up for you.
Yes.
Show you how it's done. When I have my WordPress websites, for example, I do my own back end now because I've been WordPress sites for years. But at the start, I used to pay someone, and then I paid for them to teach me to do it. And that's such a great investment, because ever since then, I've been able to work on the back end myself. You know, and I don't have to keep going to my website provider and say, can you put this event on for me? Can you put that blog on for me? I can do it all myself very quickly now, because I've been doing it for years, but it will take time. And I think this is what it's important to understand. To be efficient, you've got to maybe spend some money initially. And rather than spending money on course after course, it's better to invest that money. Yes, courses are great for your personal development, for learning, but when it comes to tech, business efficiency and software, it's worth its weight in gold to pay somebody to show you or to set it up for you.
100%. If anybody comes in through my world, if they feel confident, they have the link as you do. If they come in through a different way, part of what we do when we set up is that it's all recorded, it's done, and therefore we get it all set up. And then what we do is we can go back through things so that they can then go back and learn one thing at a time as they do the task. Somebody might want their blog set up first, so that's what they'll learn first. Somebody else might want to know how to do something like newsletters first, so that's what they'll do first. Because trying to do all of it all at once, it's too overwhelming. I find it. Anybody would find it overwhelming, even if you understand the software.
Well, sadly, Kate, we could chat all day as usual. And we'll be back again for episode number 3 in your series. As you know, I always ask my guests before they leave to share a top tip or piece of advice. What would yours be? Just
to recognise within yourself what it is that you're actually trying to achieve. just be clear. What do you want to make happen? I want to get somebody to come to my podcast interview. What needs to happen? And just map out, put the steps in. They need a link to the Zoom. They need an invitation, to telling them that they can cancel if they need to reschedule. What do they need in between? Right? What do I want to happen? And if I don't know all the steps, who can I ask to say to me, look, this is what you need to happen, and this is what we need to put in place.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, it's been great chatting to you, Kate. That's Kate Whitley of the ADHD Business Lab. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you for listening to the Woman Who Chat podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning and top tips. In the meantime, visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your Woman Who journey or even feature on a future podcast. You can also join the Woman Who Achieves community on Facebook. The link is in the show notes. There, you'll get the opportunity to network, find support and make new connections with over 1,000 women in business. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast. And if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garlick.